In the sun-drenched serenity of the Dalmatian coast, danger quietly simmers beneath the illusion of paradise. At the exclusive and heavily guarded Five Poppies Resort, what appears to be a haven for wealthy vacationers is in truth a staging ground for covert espionage, buried secrets, and identities long thought lost. Josslyn arrived under false pretenses, slipping into the skin of a newlywed bride as part of a fabricated cover crafted by Brennan. Alongside Vaughn, her supposed husband, she carries out surveillance for a secretive operation that has already grown more complicated than anyone anticipated. Their original assignment to investigate Henry Dalton has been quietly pushed aside. The mission has morphed into something far deeper, and far more dangerous, as the truth hidden within Five Poppies begins to reveal itself in whispers and shadows. At first, the days pass slowly and without incident. Josslyn blends into the resort's marble corridors, high-end spas, and candlelit restaurants. She wears the role well. No one questions her. Vaughn plays his part, ever watchful, his gaze subtly scanning for unfamiliar faces or out-of-place gestures. But Josslyn, driven by her own trauma and a lingering sense of justice, is restless. She knows what's at stake. Her work with Brennan isn't just an assignment. It's a mission to make sense of the chaos that followed the death of someone she once loved and respected. What she never expected, however, was to find that someone again. Britt was gone. That was the story. She had died saving Josslyn from Heather Weber's poisoned hook. Josslyn lived because Britt had given her life. That single moment haunted Josslyn and shaped her path into this dangerous world. And yet, as she excused herself from dinner with Vaughn one evening, crossing through the resort's eastern corridor toward the restrooms tucked away near the garden promenade, her entire reality cracked open. A sharp turn. A fleeting glimpse of familiar eyes. A heartbeat skipped. Britt. Josslyn froze, her world spinning. Britt Westbourne, the woman she mourned, the woman who had become a symbol of sacrifice and redemption, was standing mere feet away. Dressed in muted tones and sunglasses that did little to conceal her striking presence, Britt was alive, and very much hiding. For a moment, neither moved. Recognition hung heavy in the air like storm clouds about to burst. But then Britt, always the one to act when it mattered most, reached forward and pulled Josslyn into a private alcove behind a curtain of ivy-draped trellises. Josslyn's mouth opened, but no words came out. Britt's expression was calm, but urgent. "You didn't see me," she whispered. It was not a plea. It was a command masked in desperation. And yet Josslyn couldn't walk away. She needed answers. How was this possible? Why hadn't Britt come forward? Why this resort? What was she running from, or who? Britt, with her usual measured restraint, offered little. She explained that there were forces beyond their understanding operating here, forces that had nearly claimed her life and would again if they discovered her survival. She was under protection, of a sort, and her presence at Five Poppies was no coincidence. "This place," she said, "isn't what you think it is." And with that, she warned Josslyn to leave before the mission consumed her. Britt, once a villain, once a hero, now lived in the margins, somewhere between the truth and silence, caught in a dangerous purgatory. Still, Josslyn had her own secrets to protect. She wasn't simply here on vacation. Her mission with Vaughn was classified, deeply entwined with Brennan's web of surveillance and investigation. If Britt exposed her presence, Josslyn's future, not just her assignment, but her burgeoning career in intelligence, could collapse. And worse, Vaughn could be compromised. Josslyn's trust in Britt warred with her duty to her operation. But she remembered the night Britt bled for her, the eyes that stared death in the face to ensure Josslyn had a second chance. With that, a silent agreement was formed. Neither woman would expose the other. Their secrets would remain buried in the resort's stone walls and mirrored hallways. But the encounter had changed everything. Josslyn returned to dinner that night, her appetite vanished, her thoughts spinning. Vaughn noticed her distraction, but she brushed it off. She had to focus. Brennan would never forgive a breach like this. Worse, if he learned Britt was alive and she hadn't reported it, Josslyn would be out, not just from this mission, but from the entire organization. Still, something inside her shifted. She began to question Brennan's motives, the ever-tightening grip he had on her life. Why had he chosen this resort? Had he known Britt was here? Was Josslyn being used as bait in a game she didn't understand? While Josslyn struggled with these questions, far from Five Poppies, Jason Morgan moved through the shadows of another city. Jason had never accepted Britt's death. He had hunted ghosts before, but this time the trail was warm. Anonymous reports. Satellite glitches. Financial records that shouldn't exist. He followed the clues across continents, until one name kept surfacing, Five Poppies. Jason was closing in, and when he reached the resort, Josslyn's carefully crafted world would shatter. She would have to choose, loyalty to Brennan, or trust in Jason and the truth. And as Jason arrived and began his own infiltration, his instincts quickly confirmed what Josslyn had seen: Britt was alive. But Jason didn't just want to find her. He wanted to bring her back. He believed she was more than a survivor. She held answers about why she vanished, and what Five Poppies truly was. Britt was the key to uncovering something darker than either of them could imagine. As surveillance tightened, Vaughn began to suspect that Josslyn was hiding something. He wasn't just her partner in the field, he had started to care, perhaps too much. The more distant she became, the more he followed her movements. One evening, he tracked her to the garden promenade, where he caught a glimpse of her slipping into the ivy-covered alcove. Alone. Or so he thought. Vaughn now had his own questions. Who was she meeting? Why was she lying? Trust eroded quickly in a world built on deception, and as the days passed, paranoia took hold. Brennan, always a step ahead, called in a new directive: all agents at Five Poppies were to report directly to him. The operation had changed again, and now everyone was being watched, including Josslyn. And just as everything threatened to collapse, a new face appeared on the security monitors: Jason. His presence set off alarms, both literal and figurative. Brennan issued an alert, locking down certain areas of the resort. Vaughn went on high alert, told to shadow Jason and identify his intentions. Josslyn, torn between her duty and her loyalty to Jason and Britt, found herself drowning in decisions with no right answers. In the final moments before chaos ignited, Josslyn made her choice. She met with Jason secretly, confirming what he already suspected: Britt was alive, and in danger. Together, they began to plan. Not just for an escape, but for a takedown of Brennan, of the lies, of everything that kept the truth submerged beneath layers of manipulation. As their plan moved forward, Vaughn discovered the betrayal and reported it. The resort's inner circle turned violent. Britt was found, cornered by forces she thought she had outrun. Josslyn and Jason arrived just in time, a standoff erupting in the quiet halls of Five Poppies, once so pristine, now echoing with gunfire and shattered loyalties. In the aftermath, the resort was abandoned. Files were burned. Names erased. Brennan vanished. Vaughn disappeared. And Britt, finally, stood in the sunlight beside Jason, no longer hidden, no longer ashamed. Josslyn's career lay in ruins, but she had found something more powerful: clarity. She would start again, not as a spy, but as someone who had faced the cost of secrets, and chose truth. But truth in Port Charles never stays simple. And just over the horizon, another secret stirs.